Is this the year's most chaotic racing game? Find out when we review Drive, Drive, Drive. I think it's safe to say that we've seen a lot of different types of racing games over the last 30 years. From the ultra-realistic simulators, to the cartoony kart racers, to the arcade-style smash-em-ups. There's something for pretty much everybody. I've raced in 2D, in 3D, as a cel-shaded car, an airplane, a boat, hedgehog, and even a burrito. You know, sometimes it feels like the only thing I haven't done is attempt to play multiple racing games at the exact same time. Well, now I can scratch that off my list, because that's exactly what you do in Drive, 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 the appropriately named racer from developer Different Cloth. While other games have you steering one car at a time, this brand new PlayStation 4 and PC release sees you trying to win 3 different races at the same time. I know that sounds like one of those YouTube challenges somebody might do for views, but it really is the central conceit in Drive, Drive, Drive. In some ways, this is like any other racing game you've played. The goal is to complete a single lap in the shortest time possible, all while pushing the competition out of the way. But instead of doing this on just one track, we're forced to switch between several different concurrent races in a madcap attempt to finish first in all of them. It's a high-speed juggling act where your attention is constantly being split between several events and you can only rest when the race is over. The good news is that you're only responsible for one car at a time. You can quickly and easily switch between vehicles by flicking up and down on the D-pad, leaving the computer in control over the other cars. The struggle is that there's a very real chance your computer-controlled cars are going to slow down, make a bad turn, or get passed by the fierce competition. So you need to keep switching back and forth to catch up, and make sure everybody is in a respectable place. The game is nice about easing you into juggling the multiple races, giving you a lot of leeway early on to make mistakes and get used to switching between cars on the fly. But don't get too comfortable, because the tracks become increasingly challenging as you unlock all 10 planets, each with 5 bite-sized courses to tackle. You'll take part in events with up to 4 races happening at the exact same time. You'll speed through tracks trying to pick up floating dots, and you'll earn points for knocking the other cars off the course. There are dizzying loop-de-loops, massive jumps, cardboard boxes stacked on the course, and all kinds of gravity-defying moments. This is the kind of game where there's beauty in the chaos. In fact, a lot of the charm comes from the presentation, which has a purposely low Polygon Count and resembles virtual reality in the 1990s. The action is exaggerated in all the right ways, and the urgency is heightened thanks to a killer synth-based soundtrack by Zombie. I'm sure the style won't appeal to everybody, but I'm a big fan of this neo-retro look. The problem is that the gimmick in Drive, Drive, Drive ends up taking over all aspects of the game, making a lot of the events feel a bit samey. Because you're spending so much time focused on jumping between vehicles, you'll never really have a chance to take in the intricacies of each track. Even after playing through the entire single-player campaign, I found there weren't that many events that stood out in any meaningful way. They're fun to play, and the jumping back and forth is certainly exciting, but the novel concept overshadows everything else. It's also frustrating when the computer-controlled cars don't want to cooperate. I don't mind them going into something resembling cruise control, but it's annoying when you jump back only to find your car completely flipped around or driving off the track. It can sometimes feel like there are too many things outside of your control. To the game's credit, Drive, Drive, Drive comes with a track editor that's almost daring you to come up with something memorable and share it with the community. The tools are easy to use, and the editor takes you through the steps one by one, leading to a fairly painless experience with a lot of possibilities. The downside is that the track editor is noticeably limited when compared to other racing games, but there's enough here to keep you creating and sharing long after you've completed the pre-made courses. Drive, Drive, Drive has a concept that sounds absurd the first time you hear it, and yet it comes together in a truly exciting way. Between a couple different modes, a track editor, and multiplayer support, there's a lot to like about this quirky racing game. My only real complaint is that some of the tracks begin to blur together after a while, and the cool concept tends to overshadow the rest of the experience. But Drive, Drive, Drive is an addictive variation on the typical racing game. Hey, thanks for watching our review. I know we're in the middle of the 32 dangerous cheat codes, but we're still doing reviews. I'm going to be taking a spoiler-filled look at Telltale's Batman series later this week, and I still have a whole stack of games I need to get to. Also, don't forget to check out our ranking of the best and worst Final Fight bosses. It's a series I'd like to start doing weekly in the new year, but let's not get ahead of ourselves because there's still plenty of 2016 left. If you ask me, I recommend you click the subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.